Well, I've been piddling around with cow pastures and fences, and I've got behind on my woodworking. So today I feel pretty good in my back, so I'm gonna do some cutting out of some 6-foot picnic tables. And first thing I need to do is cut out enough tops and benches for about 4 of them I'm gonna do. So I'm going to use the 12-foot 2x6s for that. I can cut 2 6-foot ones out of them, and that works out pretty well. There's 9 6-foot boards I need for each table. So 9 times 4 is 36 boards I will need, 6 foot long. So lots of cutting there to do. I've only got a little while because it's fixing to come a shower here in a little bit, so I want to get this done before it rains. I got some inside work, but I'm going to put that off where I can get this out of the way and maybe do my inside work when it's raining. 12-foot boards are actually 12 foot and about 5/8 of an inch, so I can be pretty comfortable kind of squaring up the edges and still getting 6 foot out of there, so I can maximize the length. And they're all in pretty good shape, so shouldn't be a problem. So I got my dust collector on. I got the exhaust fan on. I got this big behemoth turning around, and I got my dust mask on. So now we're ready to cut some lumber. And that's why you have to always allow a little bit for waste, because there's a big split in that one. And so you don't want to use that for your tabletop or bench. Another fear of mine is finding that this thing is set on something besides 0, but really close to it, say about 2 degrees. You wouldn't really notice that until you got done with a whole batch of them, and that would be a little heartbreak right there. So always have to look out for that, make sure it's on 0. So there's 37 boards, and there's 5 boards that didn't make the cut or are not quite long enough. There nothing wrong with them, but the ends were just split too much. So that's 88%. That's not bad, but not perfect, but that's probably better than I would expect. And I still got, out of those 5 that were rejected, I can still use shorter lengths if I have a use for them. I think I can make some legs possibly out of them, so it's not a total loss. But, that's the way it shook out. So here is the bottom brace for the benches here, and I don't want to measure this every time. It's cut at 30-degree angles, and on each end. So if I'm not going to measure this every time, so what I'm going to do is just get this flushed up with this fence and flushed up with my Scotch back here, and when I chop this, it's going to be the same every time. So I need 2 for each table. That's 8 of them. So I've measured my pattern, so I shouldn't have to measure anymore. And this is also where I can use some of these that are less than 6 foot, because those boards I need to hold the benches up are about 5 foot. So should work out just right. One good general theory in cutting stuff is cut your longest lengths first, and then you'll have your scraps and pieces that you can cut the shorter pieces out. And that doesn't always work out. Sometimes you can get it a little better by putting a long and short pieces together and what you have for your materials. But most of the time that is your best efficiency there, is going by the long pieces first. Just the tip, works for me. So there's my tabletop brace. And here is my pattern set up, my stop block set, and I'm ready to cut 8 of these, or actually 7 since I already got one. So if you're unsure how to mark your legs, I want my top to start at 29, so a 2x6 is going to make it about 30.5 inches high. So I know I want my top to come along right at that 29-inch mark. And if I got this flat on the floor and this at a right angle, my height is going to be right there is where I want it. So regardless of the linking or whatever it is, I can just mark it here and go cutting. And by the way, the top and the bottom of the legs is going to be this magic 30 degrees, so I don't have to worry with that. Everything is 30 degrees here. Makes it pretty simple. So I had to cut the behemoth wind maker off where you could hear what I was saying. So that's all of the material I ordered. I had 3 14-foots and the rest were 12-foots. I've got one extra, either a bench or a tabletop, 37 in all. I've got 8 bench braces. I've got 8 tabletop braces, and I got 16 legs cut out. So now comes the nitty-gritty, is putting it all together. Let's hope it fits. Besides several pieces like this and a few ends like this, this is the only material I had left, is this one board, about a little over 3 foot there, 3.5 foot. So that's all the waste out of these 4 tables. Not bad. I still got a few 2x4 braces to cut, or I might use decking board. I'm not sure, one of the two. I would love to cut out these swing parts right now, but storage is a concern, and also I probably won't beat the raid, so we'll get them another date. I just tidied them back up. We'll pull this little red wagon back under the barn. So just to leave it right where I put it, I'm just going to put a couple 2-inch screws in each joint here until I get my carriage bolts, and I'll go ahead and stick all of the legs together, all 8 of them, and then come back and put the carriage bolts in. And here comes the rain. We beat it just in time. So we got the tabletop and we got the legs. Now what? Good question. Doing this by myself, one thing I've learned is a clamp there at the bottom of the leg keeps these up when there's nothing else attaching them, so it'll keep it upright without it falling over. And some extensive use of profanity, which is quite unnecessary, I might add. Not that I've never done that at all, but occasionally, maybe. I try to limit it. But we get one piece squared away on the top there and get it started, and then the rest will fall in like dominoes, I think. So we'll start with the middle of the top, I think. So there's the first board. Check square here, check this distance here and there. I'll check the underside to make sure it's coming along square there. We don't want it to be at a 30-degree angle. We want it to go straight up. and that's probably the most important board. The rest of them will fall in. Now, I don't know about you, but my knees gave me a fit for a bit, so I'm not as young as I used to be, but we're still going to get this together today. So now I'll put the top down, and not like a convertible, but the top down on the picnic table. And the word from now here on out is flush. I want this flush, and try to drill the holes, pre-drill the holes where they're not so kind of all over the place, kind of make it look nicer. So at this point, it's starting to look like a table. No benches on yet, but it's got a little wobble in it, and that's because we haven't put any braces under it. So that's our next step. We'll do that before we go any further. So I cut a few of these decking boards to brace the middle of this on the underside, and now I have two choices. Either I can crawl under there and work it from the bottom, or I can flip the table over. And here's another instance where having an inadequate shop size is not the best idea, but I think I'll flip it over. So now it's bottom side up. It's like those boxes you get at the Lowe's or somewhere that's got like team lift on it. There is no I in team, but somehow I'm the only one that's ever lifting, it seems like. So for my braces, there's several ways to skin this cat, but and I've done it a few different ways myself, most likely, but what I plan to do on this one is to have this cut come out there, and this to sit flat on here. So this is how I'm going to mark that. So I'm going to set this flush here. I'm going to put this board up flat against it, and that's going to be just about right there. So I'm just going to draw me a line right there, and I'll cut that. So I got my angle, but I don't have my length right. So how to get the length? If I line that up with the end of that, and I line this up with crap, that's usually what happens. If I line that up with that end and I line this up with this end, that should give me my length, but I need this angle, so that's how I'm going to fix that. So I'm happy with it on this side. Let's try the other. I'm going to check for square, make sure my legs haven't got off, and that looks pretty well fit for that side. So I'll just cut a couple of those, and maybe that'll be my pattern for the other three. So we've kept our legs square, and we put this bracing in. We put 3 3-inch screws on the ends on each side. We put one in the top, one there, and toenail on each side. And as folks say, when they strap a load down, that ain't going nowhere. And so there we got a picnic table. I went ahead and stuck the benches on. You could say you're through there, but one thing I found is as these wood ages, these ends will cup and twist, and that's not good. So I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is put a 2x4 across here and a 2x4 across there to match it up, kind of make it decorative, and it will also keep these ends looking nice longer. they look fine now, and you could quit there, and a lot of folks do, but I think a decorative piece there will just jazz it up. And one little short piece in between these, in between the legs and between these benches will help that steady up, and won't have one bowing where the other is not bowing or something like that. So that's the last thing we got to do. I don't know if I'll get to that tonight. My back is tired, and old knees are hurting, so and I'm hungry, so we're going to call it a night. And so that'll probably be all for this video, and we got to get back to some cow stuff, because I'm getting cows Monday, and I got to get them in the pen, so that's what's coming up. Y'all have a great weekend, afternoon, weekday, whatever the heck you got, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. I almost forgot. Well, the hardest thing is coming up, is selling these things. I've got to, for an unfinished picnic table like this, I get $300 plus county sales tax, and luckily one is sold, so I've only got to sell 3 of them, but that is a one of the most, if not the most challenging thing to do. So have a great evening. That's what I mean when I say tidy up the ends. That's all for now.